thank you so much for tuning in. Today is my birthday, hence why the thumbnail. Make sure you hit that like and subscribe button. Today we're going to be talking about how to apply to grad school, how to increase your odds of getting accepted into grad school. And if you are watching this, congratulations and even thinking about it or taking that first step. Today we're going to be discussing applying to grad school. This is the FNP edition, Family Nurse Practitioner edition. Before you apply, a few things. Make sure that you know you are looking into an accredited program. There's nothing worse than going to school and spending all your time and money and sacrifice and going through all this arduous labor to graduate and then realize, I can't sit for this board exam or this certification because this school is not accredited, or hey, this school went out of business, right? So how long have they been in business? Are they a public versus private? If they are private, are they accredited? Can you still sit for certification exams? So for example, I applied at UCF and USF, and both were accredited programs for family nurse practitioner. They were approved by the state and the boards of nursing, and that's what we're talking about here. Check their application requirements, right? If you have a GPA that's, let's say, 2.8 and the requirements are 3.0 and above, I mean, you can try, but the likelihood that you're going to get into that school are not very high. So make sure that you are not wasting your time and you're applying to a university where your GPA matches their requirements, their initial admission requirements. Does the school require a GRE? The GRE is a graduate exam that you have to take in order to be admitted into graduate school. And for me, I do not like standardized tests. Now, I do well on nursing exams, but I do not do well on standardized. How well do you think you could do on the GRE, right? Does the school require a GRE? Now, that being said, just because the school requires the GRE, I don't want you to be discouraged and to turn away and not take the GRE. I applied to 2 schools. One required the GRE, one did not require the GRE. The school that I wanted to go to, I just wanted to go to that school because it was closer. That really was the only reason. I was ambivalent about whether I got into one school versus the other. I just didn't feel like driving an hour and a half to get to school. So UCF requires a GRE. And an optimist will say, I'm not good at standardized tests. What the heck, I'll take it. A pessimist will say, man, I suck at standardized tests. I'm probably going to fail. It's not worth trying, so it's not even worth trying, right? So I decided I'm going to take the GRE. I'm going to take it once and we'll see what happens, right? I did prepare for it. I did take a Kaplan review course, which was pricey. I don't say you have to take that. There are books that you can rent at the library for free and you can prepare yourself for the GRE. And I took all those classes in high school. I did take algebra in college and statistics, but it's a whole other ballgame, the math that they require on the GRE. I knew personally that I needed a little help, so that's why I took the review course. I studied for the GRE. I took it. I don't remember off the top of my head what I got. I do know that it was a very mediocre score, and I was like, whatever, right? Life is hard enough. Don't stress yourself out. Don't cry if you got a bad score, if you didn't get what you wanted to get. Like I said, my score was not something out of this world. It was not phenomenal. It was a very mediocre score. Once again, a pessimist would say, this is a really crappy GRE score. I'm not even going to bother applying, or it's so mediocre, I won't stand out. An optimist will say, you know what? It's not the score I wanted to get, but I'm going to go ahead and apply. You never know. What the heck, right? So I submitted my application with that GRE score. You also want to check your school's pass rates. So for example, in order to become a family nurse practitioner, or in order to become any really kind of practitioner, whether it's acute care, pediatric, geriatric, adult, you have to take a certification exam. What are your school's pass rates that you are looking into applying to? Are they atrocious? If 50% of people that take the certification exam aren't passing, then maybe that's not the best school to go to. Right now, UCF has a 100% pass rate for people that sit for their family nurse practitioner exam. Make sure that you check application deadlines. Now, me, I'm not a procrastinator. I always submit everything 3 years in advance. That's a hyperbole right now, but I'm always on top of things, usually, right? So start early. Start getting your recommendation letters early. Start writing your essay early. Submit early, because think about the person that's reviewing this. If they see that you waited until the very last minute to submit your application, it looks very negatively on you. Now, that being said, like I said, I always submit everything on time. My USF application was submitted, went through perfectly, whatever, right? My UCF application, I hadn't heard anything for a little bit, and I thought it was a little bit strange. And to my horror, when I went to check my application status for UCF, I never finished submitting it. You know how there are screens that it's like you want to confirm payment and then confirm that you're confirming and confirm? Well, in one of those confirm screens, I didn't finish submitting it. So I again was like, at this point, I was like, there's no way this school is admitting me. I submitted the application late. That looks horrible. I did not think that they were going to admit me. Personally, if I was on the admission board, I don't think I would have admitted myself with a late application. But I submitted it anyway, and I did write them at the admissions department, and I apologized. I said, I'm so sorry. I thought I had submitted this application. It was done way before the deadline. And I apologized. Did I think it was going to do anything? No, but whatever. So in my mind, I was already prepared to go to USF. I heard that their program was great. I did not think I was going to be getting into UCF. And luckily, though, I did get a call from UCF and I was admitted. So very happy that I don't have to drive an hour and a half to go to school and attend class. So some documents that schools will require will be official transcripts. This says in a sealed envelope, but realistically now, they're sending them electronically. Your CV is basically a lengthier form of your resume, just lengthier. And it reflects prior, and it has more stuff on it other than employment. So it reflects prior education, clinical accomplishments, recent scholarly work, certifications, professional organizations. Now, I did not have any publications. I, in hindsight, could have added my thesis presentation to my CV, but I did not add it. Now, what I heard later that they do look for is additional certifications and professional organizations. So if I am ACLS certified, so that for every additional certification and professional organization, you get a little point for it. It's on a point system. So if your GPA isn't the best, do not lose heart, okay? Don't stress. Let's say that the GPA, the minimum they want is 3.0 and you're like 3.2, right? But there are people that have wonderful GPAs, but then they have nothing else to show. So if your GPA is a 3.2, make sure your essay is phenomenal. Make sure that your recommendation letters are great. Make sure that you have additional certifications and professional organizations, because those points will help balance everything out. Certifications. You can get ACLS certified. You can get PAL certified. You can get CPI training, which a lot of the hospitals do that anyway for free. It's part of your job requirement. And professional organizations. So now it's not the only reason, but when I was never part of any professional organization as an undergrad. So when I graduated, I wanted all those nice stoles and cords and medals. So that was one of my reasons for joining professional organizations. Of course, they do a lot of good work and you learn a lot of things and you are involved with litigation and advancing the profession. But initially, I wanted some nice stoles and cords, okay? Don't judge me. So write down professional organizations. So for example, I became a member of Sigma Theta Tau, International Honor Society of Nursing, the Golden Key Society, the Society of Leadership and Success, and I think there's one other one that I can't remember. Oh, and I recently did become a part of the AANP organization for nurse practitioners. I think it's the American Association of Nurse Practitioners. And then this leads us to 3 recommendation letters. And again, another institution may say 2. Okay, if your GRE scores aren't that good, if your GPA isn't that good. Fortunately, I balanced myself out. My GRE wasn't great, but my GPA was decent, right? Make sure your recommendation letters are from a professional, a colleague, a well-recognized person in the community. You may love your Aunt May, and Aunt May may be the best aunt in the world, and she may be wonderful, and she may have a wonderful heart. But unfortunately, Aunt May's recommendation isn't going to get you in, right? She may love you and everything, and she may write a wonderful letter about you, but that's not the kind of recommendation letter that we need. For my recommendation letter, I don't like to toot my own horn, but I'm going to have to do a little bit of humble bragging for this section. So, I'm not the best at making connections. I have a friend that she was phenomenal in undergrad in getting phone numbers and staying connected. Me, that's not my forte. But the stars kind of aligned when I was applying to grad school, and there was one professor that again, that mutual admiration, I felt like his class was very well structured, and he was always complimenting me and telling me how great my writing was. Now, what I will say is, maybe you hear this and you're like, well, wow, I don't have anybody, or school hasn't been always that easy. It's not like I'm some genius. There was another teacher that was absolutely, he was mean, he was harsh, he didn't provide constructive criticism, and he was just like, this is not up to par writing and blah, blah, blah. Do you think I'm going to go out and ask him for a recommendation letter? Of course not. I'd be crazy, right? So seek people that appreciate you and appreciate your talent, right? So anyways, so in this class, there was a lot of writing and research and all that, but I excelled in this class. I ended up getting 100% in this class, 100, I was shocked myself. So I asked him for a recommendation letter, and once again, and now this gentleman had a doctorate, so he had a PhD, so he had a doctorate at the and he taught at the university where I was applying again. So again, with the connections, it helps if they're like, oh, this is a recognized professor that teaches at our school, and he's recommending this individual for this program. That looks good. And then I can't remember, I think my 3rd recommendation letter was a colleague or something. I don't remember who it was. But once again, recommendation letter is your chance to really shine. A written essay. My lovely people, please. Sometimes if writing is not your forte, please get help. Go to the writing center, ask friends, proofread before you submit. Please, okay? As an adjunct professor, sometimes I read essays and I'm just like, did you even read this after you submitted it? Did you read it out loud? This is atrocious. The sentences don't make sense. Please, if you write an essay and none of it all seems like garbled mumbo jumbo, that's going to hinder your chances of getting accepted into the program. Remember, GRE scores a very small portion. They're looking heavily on these other aspects, and these are your areas where you can shine. Make sure that you write an essay and that you are addressing the question. So for example, I think for my school, it was something along the lines of, why do you want to apply to the school and what do you see yourself doing in the profession? And of course, always have altruistic goals. You don't want to write, well, I'm going to family nurse practitioner school because I want to make loads of money, right? No, you want to go to nurse practitioner school because you want to help heal, and you want to help further the profession, and you want to provide health promotion and decrease. Oh, another question. It was 2 questions. The other question was, what is a current health epidemic or health issue that you would like to address? So something along the lines of, childhood obesity and, teaching parents and teaching children that early intervention can help prevent adulthood obesity, something like that. And stay on topic. Don't write about your little pet cat that you love and adore when they're asking you why you want to be in the profession, So stay on topic too. That's something that I myself I do have ADD and can get a little scatterbrained sometimes, but stay on topic. The other thing I did not address is that your GRE score needs to be taken within the last 5 years. Okay, essays and interviews. We already talked a little bit about the essays. This was a question that was for UCF. It said, describe your future career plans and how the program to which you're applying will help you achieve your career goals. I would like to, for example, let's say you want to go work somewhere as a family nurse practitioner in a rural area or in a community setting. You say, I want to go work where there is a large homeless population and bring healthcare and make healthcare more accessible. Those are keywords that they love to hear. Making healthcare more accessible, especially to the poor. Who wouldn't think that's a phenomenal goal, right? Identify one significant contemporary issue or problem in U.S. healthcare and explore how members of the nursing profession can help address that issue or solve that problem. There's so many issues. Like I said, we have childhood obesity, but we also have a shortage of healthcare providers. And this is where not all medical doctors, but some medical doctors don't feel that we as nurse practitioners are qualified to be providing care. But let me tell you, if, for example, like the retail clinics, right? If someone has ear pain and that's very uncomfortable to them, and they know that they have an ear infection, it doesn't take rocket science to look in someone's ear and see that they have an ear infection. And then from there, you follow guidelines. What is prescribed usually for ear infections? That's a lot better than this poor individual having to wait. For example, they get an earache on a Saturday. They can go to a retail clinic and they're being seen that same day versus having to go to CentraCare and paying $200 out of pocket for a freaking earache or going to the ED for an earache, right? So they go to a retail clinic. Their insurance covers it, or they pay a little bit less. They get seen that same day. They start taking antibiotics. Their ear pain gets better. And there's no additional complications. And it costs everybody less. Imagine they go to the ED and then they don't pay that bill later. That's taxpayer dollars. So these are all healthcare issues. Nurses can make healthcare more accessible. And then it says that an interview with faculty may also be required. UCF did not require an interview, but USF did. So I did have to drive to Tampa. And again, take deep breaths. They want you to be successful. They want to admit you. They want to take your money. So be pleasant, be nice, listen to motivational tapes, pump yourself up before you get there. Do what you got to do. Think that you have this. Your thoughts are so powerful. Don't scare yourself out of it. Don't compare yourself to others, right? You are your own unique individual. There's no one else like you. So an interview with faculty. I went in for my interview at USF. I sat down with two pleasant ladies. They asked me a few questions. A lot of the questions were very, we'll say, metaphorical in nature. One question that I do remember was like, pretend someone is making dinner and there's a chef and a cook, and the chef provides the guidelines and the cook makes the dinner. Who's responsible for the dinner, the chef or the cook? Something like that. And I know I'm kind of slaughtering it a little bit, but what I inferred from the question was, obviously they're not asking me about chefs and cooks. They don't care about that. But they preceded that question by saying that graduate school is very almost like self-directed, like self-taught. They didn't say self-taught, but that's basically what it is. You teach yourself. You're paying people lots of money and you just buy some books and they tell you what pages to read. But that was the essence of the question. Like, are you going to blame your teachers if you don't do well in exams or if you're not grasping the concept? Or are you going to take responsibility and say that you are the one responsible for your education. So in essence, I said, the cook is responsible. He's the one that has to make sure that he's reading the ingredients correctly and putting the right things and following the right steps and blah, 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 right? So it was kind of those abstract questions that they asked. And just at the end of the day, as long as you can explain them, there's really no right or wrong answer. It's kind of like saying, what's better, accountability or teamwork? They're both equally important. So if you answer your question and say something along the lines of, well, accountability and taking responsibility for things is very important because at the end of the day, you are responsible for your own actions. However, teamwork is essential because without teamwork, then individuals are much less productive and are much less successful. You just answered the question there. So just answer to the best of your ability, and there's really no right or wrong. It's just they're trying to assess your critical thinking skills at the end of the day and your mindset. Are you a pessimistic person that sees the negative in everything, or are you going to work hard and try to make it through this program? And in essence, if you stick to these things, you should be successful in applying to graduate school. Make sure you write your deadlines and that you submit all the documentation that they require, and be thorough and don't be lazy. Remember, there's a lot of applicants, so you have to stand out. And if you don't stand out with your grades, and if you don't stand out with your GRE scores, then you have to stand out by your recommendation letters, by how you express yourself, by the originality of your essay. All right? Good luck. Let me know when you get accepted. Thank you so much for watching. Make sure you hit the like and subscribe button.